Hello everyone, it's Milo here and welcome back to the Holiday Cube Draft 2015. This is the finals of the event, and both players are competing for the first pick of unwrapped gifts, as well as the magnificent new Lundstedt trophy created by Fraser from Party Play Gaming. Hello everybody, welcome to the finals of the Holiday Cube Championships 2015. We have Frank, as you can see up the top, playing Esper Gideons, and Marc playing Dimir Bombs. Marc leads with a Watery Grave, and Frank goes Plains Kythian. That's just one of 3 Gideons that Frank has. These players are playing at a rapid pace. Marc plays Island, passes the turn. Frank plays Plains, presses with Kythian, and then plays a Porcelain Legionnaire. That's a 3/1 first strike for 2 mana and a Phyrexian white. Frank opting to pay that 2 life instead of waiting for a turn to play it, bringing him to 18. Both players at 18. Now we have a Harbinger of the Tides, bouncing Kythian. He bounces a tapped creature when he comes into play, and you can play him as though he had flash if you pay 2 and 2 blue. So I'm sure Marc would have much rather bounced Frank's Porcelain Legionnaire, but you know what? Mana War is already pretty good. 2 blue Mana War would be super spice. Now we have a Sword of Fire and Ice by Frank. Marc draws for his turn, and he lays down a swamp. Frank showing that he did play a scrubland there. Frank has the Kythian in his hand, not the checklist card. We have a Skinrender by Marc onto Frank's Porcelain Legionnaire. 2 damage from Marc's 2/2. So both players have played Magic against each other for a very long time. I believe there's more matches of Frank versus Marc in existence than maybe any 2 other people in the entire world. Marc draws for his turn after Frank equips the Kythian, but decides not to. Oh, he can't swing. He played the Kythian this turn. And I don't think he would just swing into a Skinrender either. We have an Inquisition of Kozilek. 1 black mana, sorcery. Target player reveals their hand. Frank shows the Gideon, ally of Zendikar, and a Revelark. So Marc's gonna miss because he can only make Frank discard a card that costs 3 or less. A non-land card. Frank puts his entire hand in the yard. For some strange reason. He brought them back though, he put them back in his hand. He's just trying to mess with me, I think. Because that Inquisition was a big whiff. Big whiff, of course, my nickname in high school. Alright, so Marc plays a Phyrexian Metamorph, copying Skinrender, killing Kythian. Frank had the mana to make Kythian indestructible, still die to the Skinrender because it does put 3 -1/-1 counters on that creature. Now plays a Revelark, which is a 4/3 flyer with Evoke for 5 and a white. And when Revelark leaves the battlefield, you can return up to 2 creatures with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So right now Frank only has the 1 in Kythian. But I think he's just ensuring that no matter what happens here, he hopes to be able to have a creature to equip with a Sword of Fire and Ice and press the following turn. So Marc, considering his attack options, he can attack with both the Skinrender and the Metamorph Skinrender. If he does, Frank will block with the Revelark and take 3 damage, going to 8, bring back Kythian, equip, press through Harbinger of the Tides, And then Frank gets to draw a card and deal 2 damage to Marc, bringing Marc to 7. Marc doesn't love that play, it looks like. We can see a Vendillion Clique in Marc's hand. Alright, so he does decide to go with both the Skinrender and the Phyrexian Metamorph. This is actually a complete rematch. Frank blocks with the Revelar, bringing back Kithian. This is actually a total rematch from last year's Holiday Cube. These two played against each other last year in the finals, and Marc was the winner. Of course, that was Marc's first win for Holiday Cube. Now we've tied the Holiday Cube together with our House League Cube Championship. If Marc wins this, he will be the second back-to-back winner of the Lundstedt Trophy. So what happened there was Frank equipped the Sword of Fire and Ice to Kithian, attacked. Marc could not block because he only had a blue creature untapped. So he took 4 damage, bringing him down to 9. And 2 damage went to the Harbinger of the Tides. Marc is trying to resolve an end-of-turn Vendillion Clique, but Frank is able to miscalculate it because Marc only has one land untapped. Marc presses with his Skinrender, bringing Frank to 5. Passes the turn, Frank untaps, draws. You gotta like Frank's position here. Sure, he's only at 5 and Marc has a 3/3, but being able to go at Marc with a assorted Kithian and what's that, 7 mana untapped? It's pretty good. Brings Marc down to 3. Frank is going to draw for turn, I believe. Or sorry, draw for sword. Alright, draws for sword. Shuffles his cards around a bit. Makes that flicking sound that everybody loves so much. I know I do. Some of my best dreams at night were, you know, closing my eyes and thinking of that flicking noise that the cards make when you shuffle them around in your hand, trying to make a decision. That's how you know life's treating you well. Alright, so Frank's just going to take a peek at the back of Kithian. Now if he just put it back the other way around, Marc wouldn't realize, I don't think. I think he could have gotten away with that. Frank does have 1,000,000 cards in his hand. That's the exact number of cards you need to beat Marc. So he taps 4 mana and attempts to resolve a Gideon ally of Zendikar. It's a card that Marc knew about because he saw it in the Inquisition of Kozilek just a few turns earlier. Now, if you're Marc, you gotta look at Frank's mana here. He's got an island untapped. He's got a scrubland, and he's got a plains. He can cast any number of cards. He's got a lot of options. But he did tap an island there, so he didn't want to leave 2 blue untapped. Not that that means too much. Back in the day, that would mean, oh, I guess you don't have Counterspell, but there's so many great Counterspells that are just 1 blue. Like, he could have a Remand, he could have a Memory Lapse, he could have a Mana Leak. So, Marc is the one that actually has the Counterspell. Does not like Gideon Resolve. Instead, we have a Kitchen Finks that resolves, bringing Frank to 7 life. Marc untaps and draws an Obnixilis. So Lion shy from casting that Obnixilis. And he scoops it up. Frank takes game 1. I'm going to jump over to game 2 shortly. Here we are. Game 2. So Frank is drawing some cards here. It looks like he's got a Scrubland, a Kythian. Looks very similar to the last game of Magic the Gathering we just watched together. Yeah, it looks really similar. Marc is leading with a Watery Grave. Over to Frank playing a Plains and a Kythian. Marc plays an Island, says go. Frank draws a Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. He also has a Yosei and a Celestial Colonnade in his hand. Yosei the Morningstar. Plays the Celestial Colonnade tapped, attacks for 2 with Kythian. Marc takes that damage and says, well played, sir, well played. I don't know if he actually said that. Doesn't sound like Marc at all. I can just say that they're saying whatever I want, really. You can't hear them. But you know what? I wouldn't do that to either of these guys. Marc just said thank you. You're welcome, Marc. He plays a Swamp, and then he passes the turn. Frank untaps, draws for turn. And then he presses in again with the Kythian. Gideon getting a lot done in this match. Oh, we have a Vendillion Clique by Marc. That is a legendary fairy wizard. I don't know if there's a lot of legendary fairy wizards out there, but it gets Miscalculated. Miscalculation's a great card. 1 in a blue, cycling to counter target spell unless that spell's controller pays an additional 2 mana. Frank played a Scrubland. Marc says, you know my stance on scrubs. And Frank said, you don't want no? Marc just nodded. I don't know if that interaction translates very well on a top-down camera, but I can assure you it was quite hilarious here. Alright, so Marc is tapping his... No, maybe not. He's thinking about tapping that Swamp. Really wants to tap that Swamp. He's got some ideas about Swamp tappage going on here. Maybe Innocent Blood? I don't think he's got the Innocent Blood. His blood is quite guilty. Alright, so we have a Dark Ritual into an Obnixilis into Death to Kythian. He said, Kythian, why don't you get out my face? And then he passes. It's quite a card. There's a little jump cut there. It's because there was a lot of deliberation. You guys didn't want to see that, I'm sure. Players repositioning their cards so that it's easier for you to see the action. Marc mime there. Okay, we have a Kitchen Finks. See, Cube Magic is a lot about playing the right answer to the right answer. Because cards answer each other constantly. Marc's going to pay a life and draw a card. It's the plus mode on Obnixilis, the reignited. Now, if he just destroyed Kitchen Finks, it would come back and be able to kill Obnixilis. So instead, Marc's like, oh, well, maybe you haven't met my other friend yet. His name is Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is my good friend. We go way back, me and Jace the Mind Sculptor. He's better than all. And he bounced the Kitchen Finks. So Marc doesn't really care that Frank is going to be gaining more life. It's a control match. And it's all about the Planeswalkers. We got a Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and a life-linking vampire token into play. So this is quite the card advantage engine that Marc has created for himself. Because of Obnixilis, you can pay a life and draw a card, and Jace's 0, as everybody knows, is a Brainstorm. So that's what Marc does. He pays the life, draws a card. But Jace can also bounce creatures. Jace can Fate Seal. And Obnixilus can kill creatures. Oh man. You can either get rid of 2 creatures a turn, or you can draw 2 cards. Marc's got a lot of options. Oh, big taps here. We got a Puppeteer Clique. That's a nice one. Into Kythian. And Kythian is going to attack. I'm assuming he's attacking Sorin. Yeah. And Frank doesn't block with the Vampire token, which I believe means that Kythian is going to be exiled now. So Marc's going to 0 Jace instead of Fate Sealing. Now he does have to put 2 cards back. I know a lot of players out there, you pay 2 and 2 blue and you 0 a Jace, you just think it reads draw 3 cards. That's not the case. It's not the case. Don't let your opponent do that. Alright, so Frank draws a Swamp. I saw it in his hand. We have a good angle on that. I think he also has a mirror entity, and that Yosei. And a couple of lands, maybe. Frank's thinking about what to do here. A lot riding on this match. One person will be declared the winner, and the other, the not-so-winner. And that stings. That stings. Frank taps out for a mirror entity and a kitchen finks. He's just building his board, creating an army, because that mirror entity can turn everything into a 6/6, and those vampires would be 6/6 lifelink. It's a pretty good plan. Although Marc's got an Obnixilus and a Jace to deal with that. Also, Frank has got a cell phone. He likes it when you call him on his cell phone. Maybe I should just bring up his phone number right now and everybody can give him a call. Here it is! I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to Frank. But Frank is checking the time for sure because he is flying to Calgary right after this match. If you see Frank, if you're from Calgary and you watch the channel, greetings, first of all. Second of all, if you see Frank in Calgary, make sure to stop him and say, hey man, watched you on YouTube. You're one heck of a cube magic player, and you're very tall. Just let him know. Just let him know. So the holidays are over, and this series is now over as well. As soon as this match is done. Thank you to everybody. Just in case I forget to say it later. Thank you to everybody for watching this. In this series, it was a lot of fun and rushed, but I'm totally glad that I did it and that people helped me out. Okay, we got an Inquisition of Kozilek. Looks at a Yosei and a Swamp. That Inquisition's been whiffing a lot more than usual. It's usually a pretty good card that hits hands a lot of the time. Alright, Mirror Entity's dead due to an Obnixilus reigniting. We got a Shelldock Isle. So it's a hideaway land. When it comes into play, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of them under Shelldock Isle. Shelldock Isle taps for a blue, or you can pay a blue and tap it to play the card that's been hidden away. If a library has 20 or less cards in it. So then we also saw Skinrender make his comeback, killing Kitchen Finks permanently because it puts -1/-1 counters on it, so Persist won't trigger. Frank draws. I don't know what he drew here. Oh, maybe a Swamp. He played a Swamp. Frank drew something legit because he is thinking a lot about what's going on here. It's tough. I mean, he is in a rush. He's got to go. But at the same time, he doesn't want to lose. It's on camera. There's going to be like 1,000 people that see this, hopefully, maybe. Tell your friends. And he doesn't want to look like some sort of jerk that everybody can make fun of. Oh, jeez, he's tapping a lot of mana. 7 mana. We got a Ruinous Path. It's killing the Skinrender. It can destroy creatures or planeswalkers. He puts the 5 counters on a swamp, and then he attacks with both of his vampires to kill the Jace. That's what I'm talking about. It's a hot, spicy meatball. Frank knows what he's doing, and he doesn't mind letting the world know. And that's how you deal with the Jace the Mind Sculptor. But we're going to find out shortly if the card advantage obtained by the Planeswalker tag team is going to be too much to overcome. Is it too little, too late? We're about to find out. Marc with his Dimir Bombs deck that we all watched him draft already. If you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check it out. It's the first episode in the series. We watched Marc draft. He got a late pick, Treachery. He got a Jace the Mind Sculptor. He got a bunch of bombastic cards. Wurmcoil Engine. So he paid another life and drew another card off Obnixilis. This Phyrexian Arena that killed 2 creatures has been pretty solid. We have a Creeping Tar Pit and a Riftwing Cloudskate bouncing the land with the 5+1/+1 counters on it. And then he takes 3 damage from a Puppeteer Clique. I believe it has flying. And it also has persist. So he's tapping 6 mana now for a Yosei, the Morningstar. Marc untapping faster than the wind into a Treachery on Yosei. Whoa, boy! That's a big Papa Pepperone, you know what I'm saying? It's pizza time, Cowabunga. Take 5 damage, Frank. Frank draws. He draws Chris Plains, which is a Plains signed by Chris. Okay, so that was that. Frank maybe scooped too early, probably. You let me know in the comments. That was a really early scoop. But Frank had seen enough. He had seen enough. Draws 7 cards, keeps it. He's on the play because he lost. That is his right. Plays a Plains, passes the turn. Goes to Marc, who played an island, passes the turn. Goes to Frank, who plays a swamp, passes the turn. To Marc, who plays a swamp. Frank finally doing something. Cycles a misdirection. Draws. Drew a sort of Fire and Ice. Plays a Wasteland. Can't target anything except a Wasteland. He's got a Mirror Entity. Runs that Mirror Entity out there. Marc plays an island. Frank untaps. Draws a Magic the Gathering card, maybe. I don't think it's a Garbage Pail Kids card or something. Alright, so Frank plays a Curse of the Shallow Grave. Curse of Shallow Graves. I've never seen this card in play before. Whenever he curses Marc, and whenever he attacks the cursed player, he gets a 2/2 zombie. So he got a 2/2 zombie for that. Marc plays a Vendillion Clique. Frank reveals sort of Fire and Ice, Batterskull, Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, Ruinous Path, and an Elspeth, Knight Errant. Marc is deciding whether or not to put any of those cards on the bottom of his library, but he doesn't want Frank drawing land, it looks like. He's got so many bombs there. Look at that. Batterskull, Sword, Elspeth, Sorin. Man, these cards are insane. Who built this cube? It's nuts. They're crazy. They're a crazy person. Okay, they played an island. Marc plays an island, plays a Dark Ritual into a Grave Titan. That ritual sure was dark. Gets 2 zombies, attacks with the Clique, bringing Frank to 17. Frank, ooh, draws that swamp. Couldn't have happened at a better time for that Ruinous Path. Better believe that Grave Titan's gonna be... Path's gonna be made right through that Grave Titan. The damage is done though. Marc's got his zombies. Frank attacks with the zombie, creating a zombie, and Marc blocks with the zombie. This match of Magic the Gathering Cube action brought to you by George Romero. Marc plays a swamp. Taps Island Swamp for Vedalken Shackles. Vedalken Shackles. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Jeez. He can pay 2 and tap it and gain control of target creature as long as that creature's power is equal or less than the number of islands he controls. Marc controls 3 islands. Gains control of a mirror entity. Frank only has 1 untapped mana, so he could only make that mirror entity a 1/1. In response, it would still be a legal target for the Vedalken Shackles. Now, even if Marc makes the Vedalken Shackles, makes the mirror entity bigger by saying tapping all 5 of his lands, he would still retain control of it because it checks its power upon resolution of the activation of Vedalken Shackles. Frank attacked with a zombie. Marc just blocked with the mirror entity so that he'll be able to use the shackles again. But Frank did get a zombie out of that. Finally, reading Curse of Shallow Graves, they realized the zombies should be coming into play tapped. So we've got a Kythian in Frank's hands and a Sword of Fire and Ice. Those look like the only things they could play. And those are the only 2 spells I think he could play, and he played them. It's tough though. Vedalken Shackles is a really hard card to beat. Especially when Marc already has a couple creatures in play. Marc plays a Watery Grave, untapped, taking 2 damage. He now has 4 islands, plays a Skinrender, killing Kythian. That Skinrender's been amazing in this Cube draft, and also in the Cube Tutor Championship Series, Skinrender was a beast. It's actually a zombie, but it's, you know what I'm saying. If you had any doubt if Skinrender was better or not than Necrotol, I think that this should put an end to it. Skinrender is pretty sweet. Kills indestructible Kythian. If Frank was going to do that, kills zombies. Killed Kitchen Finks permanently. In Cube, I think Skinrender is better than Necrotol. I think it's proven itself lately. It's Frank's turn. He does look a little stuck on mana. He doesn't have any blue. He only has 1 white, so he can't play the Elspeth. He can play Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, which we know is in his hand. But is that going to save him? It'll bring him to... I don't know. I can't do the math because... Alright, so we have a Wasteland onto the Watery Grave. Marc responds by gaining control of a zombie. And now we have a Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. Making a life-linking vampire. Zombie, I wanted to say zombie. So many zombies going on. Fighting each other. It's zombie warfare. It's the zombie apocalypse. Marc's going in with the team. The boys are back in town. 2 zombies, Vendillion Clique, and a Skinrender. Frank can block the Skinrender with the life-linking vampire and take 7, bringing him to 1. And then we have Wurmcoil Engine. It's going to be a very easy card for Frank to deal with. No problem at all here. Even if he kills it, there's going to be 2 3/3s. This is bad news. It's probably bad news. So Frank pays double black and triple black and a white, plays a Elspeth, then equips, and it's all over. Alright, so Marc is your champion. Congratulations once again, Marc Anderson. You've taken down the Holiday Cube Draft 2015. Here is your brand new Lundstedt, sir. What do you have to say about Frank?
I seem to have his number recently. He battled back to try and get his revenge, but it didn't quite work out for him this time. Maybe next time, Frank.
Some say Frank just threw the match because he has to go to Calgary and catch a flight. So your victory's a little bit tainted, some might say.
I also offered to drive him to the airport, so maybe he just threw it away from me. He is a nice guy, so we'll just say he threw it away. But I do get equipped 0. Equipped player gets bragging rights for the year. Now, I think I need an oracle ruling on this because there's only a month left.
Well, then that's your year, sir.
Damn it.
Until the next Holiday Cube Draft, which I'm sure you'll come back and defend the title.
Yeah, I'm not going to miss any Holiday Cubes. Got to keep the streak running.
So what do you have to say to all the people who want to challenge you now and take it down and get the Lundstedt from you?
I feel like actually every cube I've come closer to like feeling like I was really not going to get it this time. Like this time, there's a lot of people who had some really good decks. So I think everyone else is getting better, and I'm just kind of staying the same. So eventually someone will pass me.
Well, congratulations, and thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a happy holidays. Bye, everyone.
Till next year.